What if I told you this is one of the lowest mileage 1978 Corvettes in the entire world? Would you believe me? Bought for under $15,000 in 1978, brand new, this 25th anniversary Corvette was parked in this garage with only 1,599 miles on it. And looking at the exterior, it doesn't look like 1,599 until you look at the inside.
What?
And I'm sure you see the other two behind RJ, which are even crazier, but in order to get those, we have to do this one and clean out the garage and help the owner with these overgrown garage doors.
We told you guys there was something crazy, and that's a 1978 C3 Corvette 25th anniversary edition with 1,599 miles.
It's crazy.
Look at this thing.
That's not a typo.
That's not a typo.
1,599 miles. This car was barely driven.
All right, doesn't look like it's 1,600 miles. Let me open the door. What do you think? What do you think, Mike?
It's mint.
It's a brand new car.
Dude, yep. 1,599 miles. That's nuts.
And for anyone who says, oh, it rolled over, that's not actual mileage, they ran it back. You're telling me that that's what 101,000 miles looks like?
No, it's perfect.
Yeah.
We work with these cars all the time, so we know when a car is aged. Even if something has like 60,000 miles and it's this age, it does not look anything like this.
And what's crazier is there's two more that are even crazier than this one. But those are for future videos, so we're not gonna show you anything of those. You guys are gonna have to come back. I know that these are all C3 Corvettes, but those other two are even more special than this one. Brent, stop showing them too much. Come back to the car we're doing. We have to clean all this stuff up like we did for this whole area. We did a 1988 Cadillac Coupe de Ville that was here. We had to clean out this whole area of 400 pounds of raccoon poop and a bunch of other stuff.
At least.
And tomorrow, I'll be here getting these doors replaced. So we actually are gonna have to push this Corvette over a bit and figure out how we can safely get new garage doors on there. As a thank you to the owner for letting us do this, we are actually going to buy him the new garage doors and make sure that these cars go back in a garage that's respectable and they look respectable.
Checking out this door now, that has to be open somehow. I've not seen anything this embedded in vines.
Oh my God.
RJ thought something like this would be pretty easy to get to, and this is definitely not gonna be easy to get through.
Tomorrow is when we're tackling this, and Brent and Mike are busy.
Whoa.
So
I have to go to my other job.
they're busy. So I'll be here working hard, making sure that these garage doors get fixed, because there's gonna be a lot of work that needs to be done. But we do it for the content, and we do it to save these cars, and we do it for you guys. So this is the easy side. This,
I'm telling you, this is seriously, like,
oh my God.
this is gonna be crazy.
I
to
mean,
have to
thank
get all
God.
this stuff off.
Thank God some of them are dead.
You gotta be careful, like in the center, to crack this fiberglass.
Honestly, we'll probably have to take the garage rails off first and then just break the garage door out, because I don't know how else.
Dude, best way would be trimming all this around
Yeah.
and then kind of making it encapsulate with the door,
Yeah, and then we're gonna have to get up there and chop all those down. I mean, that's crazy.
All right, so we need to start moving this Corvette over, get this cleaned up a little bit, and get this out of here.
So while we pump the tires up to move the car, I think now's a better time than ever to tell you guys that we're trying to hit 900,000 subscribers. And like RJ mentioned already, the two other cars in this garage are even crazier than this one. So what better time to subscribe if you're not than right now? Help us hit our goal of 900K, and let's see if we can hit a like goal of 30,000 likes on this video. I know you guys can do it. But lastly, let's hop into the question of the video. So leave your answers in the comments below. What do you think this car is worth? There's probably none in the world like it, so it would probably be a guess, but what is this car worth? Leave a comment.
Oh my God, another one, dude. Another what?
What?
That's
is
another
that?
raccoon.
You think it's a
for sure.
raccoon?
He doesn't have nearly as nice teeth as the other guy. Is that one of his teeth? One of his teeth were, yeah, I guess not. Is that one of his teeth that were growing into his face? Or is that just, oh no, it's a rubber band. He died with a rubber band in his mouth.
He choked on a rubber band.
All right, let's go put him with his buddy. So, there we go.
Oh, the first one had way better teeth.
And now before we could actually take the Corvette, we had to skip to the next day where we had to fix the garage doors and clean up the garage and get all that situated before we could actually get the car back to our shop.
Smells like cow poop in here. Look at that, there we go.
Oh, wow.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
right, guys. New door, cleaned up all the vines. Man, I'm tired, but we did that all so that we'd be able to do those Corvettes in there. Shoo, a lot of work.
And on a third day, we're putting the effort in on this one. It was finally time to pick up the car and take it back to our shop. We were very careful with loading it up, and I think RJ wanted to say one more thing about it.
All right, so we have the Corvette in the trailer safely, and we're about to head back to the shop. But real quick, we wanted to mention that if you have anything in this condition, it doesn't have to have 1,600 miles like this one, but if it's an enthusiast vehicle that's extremely dirty, it has to be extremely dirty because we can't clean a clean car. Nobody will watch. But if you have something like this, reach out to us at this email. We do all the work for free, and then we also do stuff like this where we'll even clean out the garage and repair it, whatever it takes. We want to make the best content on YouTube, so send us what you have, and maybe we'll come out and detail your car for free. All right, so we got the Corvette back to the shop safe and sound, and our first plan of action is obviously to wash away this crazy amount of dirt that's collected over the last 40 years. But what we have to do first is open up the bonnet in order to vacuum out all the raccoon poop that's hiding under here and remove the wiper blades so that we can clean everything properly. But unfortunately, what we found out was that the hood release is only releasing one side of the hood. So this side is free and that side is seized up. So we looked up online how to do that. And it looks like we can take off the wheel and go in through the wheel well in order to release that latch. So I'm hoping it's not rusted, but that definitely has to be our first plan of action, because if we get that raccoon poop nasty and wet, it makes our job much worse. Fingers crossed, not spend the whole day trying to get this hood open. So we're gonna lift up the car, and what's crazy is, again, this car has 1,599 miles on it. It still has the factory undercoating on the frame rails here. That's nuts. It's brand new under here. So in order to protect the underneath of the car, this factory undercoating, and not scratch it, we're gonna put a towel on our jack. That way we don't scratch the undercoating and do any damage that isn't necessary. You want me to jack it up too? Sure. I actually see the cable right here. So if I reach my arm up there, oh man, it's a little bit tighter of a squeeze than I thought. My freaking hand's too big. Oh, I feel it. I feel the spring. I think that's the cable. It's gotta be. Okay, so we're having a very hard time getting this unlatched. We're gonna gently raise this side of the hood. Now, what we realized after doing a little bit more research, the piece of the wire that controls this latch and that latch is broken. I think we have it. This is it. We've been working on this for 3 hours, so please, please, please. I'm pulling. Yes, thank you, dude. God.
I can't believe it.
Oh my gosh.
That's a win. This is a lot of time we spent on this. Let's open this up and see what we're working with.
Wow.
Not too bad.
Not too bad at all. Good job, dude.
Dude, I'm so
Man,
happy.
there's like a certain level of ecstasy that Dude, can we celebrate for a second? There's a whole freaking It is 12:40. We got here at 9:30 and started on this. We're idiots because we should have checked that wire first, but we got it. So this is the pulley that's actually, in the car, and so this pulls and it releases this latch. So that's the left side of the hood. This was the one that was broken. It's corroded and rusted. So this wire goes all the way across to the other latch and it pulls that. But the only other thing we could have done is cut this, and I could have grabbed it. My hand was coming up
We felt
through
this
there.
a bunch.
And what's crazy is I felt this wire, that's how close I was to the latch.
Yep.
I knew I was within like an inch of it. I just couldn't get it.
We're so lucky because this wire's frayed here as well. So I'm surprised this isn't more damaged here. But the other way to do this is to go through this grommet and then press down here. But we couldn't get in there.
There was nothing we could do.
But the job is
Oh
done.
my gosh,
We got the
guys,
hood open.
For anyone that works on cars, that eureka moment of getting something done that was miserable, good job, dude.
Now the first thing we're gonna do is take the windshield wipers off so we can clean more in depth. We'll put them back on when the detail's over, and then we'll use the vacuum to get all that raccoon poop that's underneath there.
All right, first time the airbox is probably being opened since it left the factory.
Yeah.
I'm gonna press here while you lift so that it separates.
I'm not sure if the whole thing comes up. There we go.
Wow, sealed still from the factory.
Yeah.
Look at the inside.
Very good.
Wow.
This is like brand new.
Whoa, look at the carburetor. Holy smokes. That's flipping cool.
We have a little bit of, somebody got in here though.
Yeah, a little bit.
They stayed outside.
Look at the filter. Dude. It's a time capsule. For sure. That's so cool. That's the original seal. Well, obviously, but like that's why it was so tight on there. It's never been off. Yep. Let's go ahead and vacuum that up, and then I think we actually put this back together. We're gonna use some isopropyl alcohol to wipe this out. I'm sure a cleaner would have been fine, but I know that the alcohol will evaporate quicker. And like I said, trying to take every precaution we can with this vehicle. So we're just gonna do a quick wipe and then put the lid back on.
Now for the wash process, it's going to be a little bit different than normal, so let me explain it to you. Hear me out. We're going to be cleaning the undercarriage as well when we put it on our scissor lift. So what we're going to do here is clean the wheels and then wash the entire car. Then we're going to put it on our scissor lift and take the wheels off so we could clean the inside of the barrels and the wheel wells, and deep clean the underside of the car all while it's in the air, and then put it back together. So it's a little bit of an unconventional way to clean this car, but we want to make sure we get every inch of it before it's done being washed. And I'm telling you guys, watch until the very end, because this thing came out looking like the day it came from the factory. Maybe even better. I don't know what it was like in 78. We were born in 95. And now is the moment a lot of you have probably been waiting for. It's time to pressure wash all this dirt away. And we're going to start with a pre-rinse, which is our all-purpose cleaner Puro inside of a pump sprayer. What that's going to do is it's going to lift the dirt up from the surface of the car so we can safely pressure wash it all away. But if you guys are interested in Puro or anything else that we use, it's all in the description below. Now what you'll notice on this back bumper is that it's not going to clean the same as the rest of the paint, and that's because it's made out of plastic. Corvettes in these days, the front and back bumpers were made out of plastic and not fiberglass, so we're going to address that in a little bit.
So you guys can see that there's obviously a very different color of white on the bumpers versus the rest of the vehicle. And that's because, at least in my assumption, that the plastic bumpers, they heat cycle more. So they contract and they expand. And what happens is the more they expand, then when they contract again, they pull that dirt and it kind of almost etches into the top layer of the clear coat and makes it more difficult to clean. So in order to actually clean this up, we are gonna need some of our all-purpose cleaner as well as a bit of abrasion from a very, very soft bristle brush, just to kind of work that cleaner into the top layer of that paint to hopefully pull that dirt out as safely as possible. These are really, really deep recesses, so I think it's better than trying to smash a mitt in there. So we're gonna use this soft brush and Puro APC with a generous amount, and then very gently let the brush do all the work of pulling all that dirt out. Go ahead and rinse it out. We're gonna have to do it a couple more times just to clean up some of the edge work, but that did a great job of pulling all that dirt out. With these bumpers, you have to be very careful because they tend to get very brittle, the plastic does, and that's where you see a lot of the paint cracking here. So again, with it heat cycling and contracting and expanding, it's actually cracking the paint and then going back to its normal shape. And that's unfortunately what happened here. And you can even see a little bit start to happen on the rest of the car as well. But obviously the rest of the car is almost perfect, whereas the bumpers are, you know, the most damaged part of the whole entire vehicle. We're gonna use the brush method for these recessed taillights, and then the rest we'll use a very soft microfiber mitt, the 2-bucket method, and we'll use the all-purpose cleaner and gently wash away the rest of the dirt and get ready to do the full wash.
So how much pressure are you using right now?
I'm not gonna use a ton of pressure. I just don't wanna use a solvent or an acid to break this down further. I can polish out whatever minor scuffs and scratches that I'm putting into the paint right now. But you know, if acid were to eat through this or a solvent were to eat through this paint, what are you gonna do?
So we're gonna be moving on to the engine bay here, but first I want to check this oil because it's aged like fine wine in this car for such a long time. It is original from the factory. Hopefully there is some. Oh no, this is not. This is transmission fluid, as silly gooses we are. Wow. Ooh, not too bad. Has a little bit of wear in it. Kind of actually looks pretty dirty compared to what we found in other cars.
For the actual washing of the engine bay process, I think we're gonna avoid the majority of this because this is obviously falling apart. I mean, we might rinse some of this, but for the most part, we're gonna leave the underside of the hood alone. It's really not that dirty in the first place. Again, maybe a little bit down there. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to grab a plastic bag, place it over here, and then run this down so it seals, just so no water can get in there. I'm really not worried about it, but you know, let's take every precaution we can. We could cover the alternator, but again, this engine is not going to be worked on for a long time, so any of those electrical components will fully dry before they ever put power to it. We are not putting power to it, so I'm less concerned about the electrical connections because there's no power to it, and we're not adding power, so I'm not worried about any shorts. So
typically you see us power up the cars to open and close windows or try the lights or even try to get it started, but this car is rare, has such low mileage, and we don't want to damage anything. The owner doesn't want us to damage anything. We are going to actually stray away from doing any of that, and after we are finished with this car, it should be headed to the mechanic to hopefully get this thing fine-tuned and running. And then hopefully we get to see it on the road again someday. That would be really, really cool.
Now what I will say is, although we're not working on this car, we are talking behind the scenes with a very, very large mechanic automotive channel about working on the rarest of the 3. So you guys definitely want to stay tuned for that one, because that collaboration, if it happens, will be absolutely insane. Leave some comments below of who you think it is. I think you're going to be mind blown if it actually happens. Now using a super soft bristle brush, we're going to get the emblems because as you can see, a lot of that dirt is coming out and our wash mitts would miss all of that. Okay, now we can finally use our scissor lift that we really only pull out for special occasions on YouTube. We're gonna take the wheels off, clean the inside of the barrels, clean the wheel wells, and then take a peek underneath the car and show you guys what it looks like.
So now that we're under the Corvette, I can get a better look of what's going on. Now we do see some corrosion here. This was sitting in a garage that sadly got overtaken by raccoons, and obviously moisture was around for this to happen. But what's very odd to see is such an old car in this condition with all the rubber just perfect. There's no cracks in any of this. And another interesting thing to see, which we never see, is all the tags are still on the various places that they came from the factory, which is something that I never find. We work on old cars all the time and we don't get to see something like this. So yes, there's rust and some corrosion here, but this is all essentially still new. You know, obviously there's a lot of grease that leaks out over time from the motor, from the transmission, from all these ball joints. But other than that, this is like pristine. There's no wear marks. It's just from the rust. So we have to get this all degreased, have to get it all cleaned up. And there's only one person for that job, and it's not me. Someone's gonna have to suit up.
How you feeling? Are you ready?
I feel like I'm gonna get real wet.
It's okay, it's raining outside. You'll rinse off right afterwards.
Yeah. What's the actual plan here? What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna degrease the whole underside of the car and then scrub it until I don't want to do that anymore. I just figured I would go waterproof so that I'm not trying to dodge water droplets and whatnot.
He didn't want to dress as a swimsuit model for the YouTube, you know?
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
And we tried to get the spare wheel down so we could clean that too and clean up under there, but with every key that we had, nothing would even go into the keyhole. Either it was seized or we didn't have the right key. Not really sure what to do here. If you guys have any idea why it wouldn't work, leave a comment below.
All right, so this is supposed to be waterproof, or at least water resistant. And I didn't feel like I was getting wet except for one very specific spot. I'm going home.
Well, while RJ had to go home and change, we figured we would also polish up the wheel lugs before we put them back on, just to give it that extra flair. Now this is one of the most satisfying things I think I've ever personally done. We work with a detailer named Jason Kilmer who's been on this channel before, and he's hopefully going to be on here for an upcoming episode very soon. And he taught me with rust that if you take a rust remover gel and you spray it onto an area and let it sit for about 20 minutes and then you steel wool, you can remove a lot of rust that's been sitting for decades. So in this case, I used it on the tailpipes and I removed the first layer and then I sprayed it on again, and we had to get a little bit more aggressive. But when you see the before and after of the tailpipe, I think you would choose the after rather than the before 10 out of 10 times. And now we can put the car back on the ground and move on to the interior, but it was not long before we found our first surprise.
So we took the T-tops off and brought them in so we could lay them down on, the cushions of our couch. And sure enough, we did find a little mousy nest up there. He was living in the penthouse. First impressions of the 1599 mile Corvette is that it smells like mouse pee. And there's mouse poopies all over. I noticed immediately is the dashboard looks like it has this weird growth on it, and I was concerned that the actual metal was damaged, but when I touch a little bit, it looks like it's gonna be able to be wiped away. So we got lucky there. On these Corvettes, we have 3 compartments. One is the battery compartment, and then these 2 are storage. So let's check behind door number 1, mouse poop, but nothing else. So that's good, I think. And down at number 2, ooh. It is the operation of the turn signal, headlights, and how to remove the keys. And then under this one, we have nothing. But I think these are removable.
That's nice for cleaning.
Whoa! What do you know? A mouse nest. Who'da thunk? We also have, brand new, looks like they've never been used, the sheets for the T-tops. I wonder though, we have the CB radio. That's GM. I think this was an option that got added to the car. Stand for it, good buddy.
Now we're gonna clean up the interior by starting with vacuuming, and then we're gonna get inside of those compartments. And once we did, I think we found the culprit of all this mess. Looks like we found the culprit, and he looks like he's been gone for a while, huh, Mike?
Oh yeah, long time.
Ew, that's a long tail too.
This is super long tail. It's a weird one.
Now we're going to clean up the back deck lid and the rear window, and unfortunately with the mice running all over it, they left some tiny little marks, nothing too crazy, but when we first saw it, we didn't know what it was and we weren't sure if we could clean it, and we're just glad that we were able to.
If you still don't believe that this is a 1,500 mile car, one thing, after working with lots and lots and lots and lots of forgotten and abandoned cars, the underneath of this seat, the cushion is mint. The springs, barely used at all. No holes, no discoloration. That's what 1,500 miles looks like, not 101,000. And again, if you don't believe us further, here's the manufactured plastic. You want it? Here, you can sell it on eBay.
All right, so I'm getting ready to put the seats back in the Corvette, and I was looking to see which one was the driver and which one was the passenger. So I went to look at the adjustment lever, and they are both on the right side of the seat, which means, if I'm not mistaken, I'll take a look at the back, but I believe that these seats are identical twins, which means that GM decided to save money and just design one seat that works for both the passenger and driver side of the vehicle. Huh, haven't seen that before.
And with the seats all clean, the last thing we're going to do is condition them just to keep them in that tip-top shape, because a car like this is all about preservation. Now moving on to the doors, we did something a little bit extra with these. We noticed that the actual lock had some rust on the end of it, so just like the lug nuts, we polished it up and made it look brand new again.
I was cleaning the jack that we found in the back of the Corvette, and I went ahead, in order to clean the spline here, I figured I'll just let the machine do it. So raised it up, and unfortunately this is also a grave site. Not only can it jack your car up, but it housed Stuart Little.
That's Stuart number 2 in this car.
Stewie number 2. Poor buddy.
It's always sad when we find animals that passed away in cars, but anyways, we have to keep moving forward. We're going to extract this carpet, and this is a really nice carpet, so we're just going to use extractor soap with no drill brush and hot water in the extractor, and it's going to make it look brand new. Now we're gonna clean the T-top before we put it back on the car. And now with everything back together, we're gonna put the ozone machine inside of it, basically kill all the bacteria in there while we're working on the exterior of the car. That way it doesn't smell like a barn or like mice anymore, and it makes it smell fresh again. And for the final steps, we're gonna put a dressing on the tires, clean the windshield, and then put a ceramic sealant on the paint to protect it.
All right, so we have the 1978 1600 mile Corvette back safe and sound in the garage. We found it and it looks amazing, especially contrasted to the next car that we're picking up, which is another 78. It's a pace car, and this is a 4-digit mile car. This one is a 3-digit mile car. So if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely give it a like and subscribe to make sure that you don't miss this one. Also, for the owner of this car, we're gonna supply him with Damp Rid moisture absorbers to pull all the moisture out of the car if there is any left over from the detail work that we did, as well as any that might, still be in this garage after we leave. And then we also have car covers for each of these vehicles to make sure that they don't end up in that condition again. Thank you guys for watching. See you next week.